I am not a public speaker. I'm a writer, so I'm going to read. But first off, I want to say, when I first heard Harvey Milk's story so long ago now, I never would have imagined that I'd be invited to, much less speaking at the Harvey Milk Democratic Club dinner. So many of the people in this room are my personal heroes. And I want to thank you so much, I'm going to get teary-eyed, for the work that you've done. And thank you for having me here tonight. All right, now I will read. So for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Lance Black. Thank you. I grew up in a very Mormon military household in San Antonio, Texas. So Mormon military in Texas. You hear a lot of words. Yeah, good. There's several words you hear very often, and from the age of 6, I knew that if I shared my secret, I would be one of them. And they are faggot, cocksucker, sinner, deviant. And I've heard those words since I was born. They're not shy with those words in San Antonio, Texas, or in the military, or in the Mormon church. So I knew from an early age I was going to hell. I knew God did not love me. I knew that I was less than. And if anyone ever found out, I knew I would bring great shame to myself and to my family. So I had two choices. One, to hide, to go on a Mormon mission, to get married, have a small Mormon family of 20 to 30 kids, or do what I thought about constantly, which was to commit suicide. And thankfully, there weren't enough pills, fun or otherwise, in my Mormon mother's medicine cabinet, so I pretended, and I hid, and I cried myself to sleep on more Sabbath nights than I care to remember. And then somewhere, around the summer of 1988, I heard a recording of a speech. It was delivered on June 9th, 1978, the week my father moved us to San Antonio, Texas. It was by Mr. Harvey Milk. They actually played the speech earlier, but I'll read a little bit of it back to you now. Harvey said, somewhere in Des Moines or San Antonio, there's a young gay person who all of a sudden realizes that he or she is gay, knows that if the parent found out, they'll be tossed out of the house. The classmates will taunt the child. And the Anita Bryants and the John Briggs are doing their bit on TV, and that child has several options. Staying in the closet, suicide, and then one day, that child might open up the paper, and it says, homosexual elected in San Francisco. And there are two new options. One option is to go to California, which I did, or stay in San Antonio and fight. You've got to elect gay people so that young child and the thousands upon thousands like that child know there's hope for a better world. There's hope for a better tomorrow. I was almost 14 when I heard Harvey for the first time. In that moment, that was the first time I really knew that someone loved me for me. From the grave, 10 years after his assassination, Harvey gave me life. He gave me hope. So much of what I've done, so much of what I've done in this business up to this point, I've done to make myself ready to take on the overwhelming responsibility of retelling Harvey's stories. Years of frustration watching other projects struggle and wither away. Then years of research, driving up to San Francisco, charging a couple nights at the Beck's Motor Lodge, double locking my doors. Sometimes leaving the doors cracked open. Driving out to Palm Springs, listening to Cleve Jones ramble on and on and on and on about how the whole gay movement thing was all his idea. In fact, the very notion of gay sex, he says, was his idea. You know what I'm talking about. We, as gay, bisexual, transgender, lesbian people, deserve a recorded history. We can't afford to lose sight of the women and the men who are responsible for getting us to where we are today. A well-preserved, documented history will help us in our fight. It will help save the lives of our brothers and sisters who don't yet know they have mothers and fathers who are great, visionary men and women. 4 years ago, I was tired of waiting for someone else to bring Harvey's story back to life, and the studios wouldn't listen to me. So I set out to do it independently. And finally, with Gus, with Sean Penn, and with the help of so many of you in this room, I finally feel comfortable saying that we've done it. And I want to thank all of you. And that brings me to my last point, because as of late, certain people have made comments about who owns Harvey's story. Let me tell you, Harvey Milk's story does not solely belong to anyone, not to Randy Schultz, not to Rob Epstein, not to Craig Zaden, and certainly not to Lance Black or Gus Van Sant or Focus Features. Harvey's story belongs to all of the us's out there, to the others, to the outsiders. Harvey's story belongs to that boy or girl who tonight was just told that his crush on that neighbor is sick and wrong, that his or her worth has diminished. Harvey's story is a story of hope that we must once again deliver to that child. And his story is simple, that we can gain political power by telling the truth, and our truth is found in coming out. And now it is our turn. Between now and the vote on November 4th, I ask that we move further than we have in the past, that we challenge ourselves to come out to our grocery clerks, to the people we see every day but maybe we don't know, that man or woman we ride next to on the bus. Start the conversation. Come out and ask them to vote with us. Because on November 5th, I want that little boy or girl in San Antonio, Texas, tonight to wake up and hear on Fox News that the people of California have voted for him, for equality, and not by slim margins, overwhelmingly. So that if one day that little boy in San Antonio falls in love, this great state, and if we work hard enough, this great country has told him loud and clear that his love is not sick, his love is not wrong, and that he or she has just as many rights in the world as any straight boy or girl. It is our job to give Harvey's story back to the people it belongs to. We have to give them hope. Thank you very much.